sometimes this conversation on race and ethnic backgrounds is a very complex issue. For example, my great grandfather was 100% Irish. However, he had to disown his wife, who was Native American, because his family wouldn't approve of them being together. And so this has caused a lot of anger in a lot of my family members. So whenever it's time to discuss family lineages, it's still often a challenging task. Fortunately, I've been able to track down some of my ancestors, which I found out are from South Carolina, specifically known as the Geechee tribe. But as far as the first time that I've ever heard any racial slur outside of television goes to the time I was in the grocery store with my mom, and this lady was trying to get some milk. So she pushed our cart away and said, "Move out in, get out of my way, I'm trying to get some milk." And before my mom could even say anything, me being the bad child that I used to be, I screamed, "Don't talk to my mama like that. You don't know her." In regards to my neighborhood, I was born in Southwest Detroit, which is also known as Mexican Town. And at that time, there was some extreme segregation happening between blacks and Hispanics. Blacks stayed on one side of the railroad track and Hispanics stayed on the other. And I just never understood why I wasn't allowed to walk on their side of the street. Walked into the building, the North cafeteria. The only students you would see in there were the Chaldean students, and then when you walk down the hallway to the South cafeteria, the only students in there were the black students. And this went on for about 2 years until the administrators realized that they had segregation within their own school. So they shut down one of the cafeterias, trying to bring together both groups of students. And it worked, but it also didn't at the same time because segregation was still existing even in that one cafeteria. And then I'm also thinking about interracial dating when I think back to high school. You could be friends with a Chaldean student, however, you knew that their parents wouldn't allow you to come to their house. So again, you could be friends at school, but you weren't allowed to carry on that friendship on a personal level or even outside of school. In regards to college, I went to the Michigan State University, very diverse setting, surrounded by so many beautiful and different ethnic groups. However, I still went through a few racial issues during my junior year. I remember trying to get into a certain restaurant, and they would say, "Hey, if your license says Detroit, you're not allowed to come into this building today." Or you might try to go to a certain lounge, and they would say, "We're not playing hip hop in here today. You have to go downstairs for that. Sorry." It wouldn't even allow you to come in. Students were posting pictures of hanging dolls in their classrooms or racial slurs being written on their dorm room doors or not being allowed to eat in the newest cafeterias on campus. And of course, our president, she made a statement, but her statement was basically on freedom of speech, which really didn't handle anything. And I was experiencing racial issues even within my workplace. For example, I had a coworker come up to me and say, "So your hair doesn't get into one of those big, cool black power fros like the people from the 60s and 70s? And so I'm thinking, is this a racial attack or maybe she's just unaware? And then it continued on. A few weeks later, I asked if I could have some borders that had either like the little cute insects on it or maybe some sunflowers on it. And she brings me back monkeys and bananas. So again, I'm thinking the same thing. This is either a racial attack or she's just unaware. And then moving on to the Christmas teacher party, my administrator at that time was cracking jokes on me and saying, "So, how does your mom make chitlins? Or do you guys call it dressing or shortening?" And sometimes in situations like that, you want to react in a angry kind of mode, but you really just have to just step back sometimes and walk away from the situation. And then just think, is this really a racial attack or are some people really just unaware? As early as I can remember, racial attacks have always had an impact on my life. Sometimes I've wanted to react in an emotional manner, and other times it's just made me more eager for change. Which leads me to, what do I want in the future? As far as a workplace, I would love to work in an authentic multicultural setting where the staff population is diverse as well as the student population. And then as far as my future neighborhood, I would love to live in a neighborhood where all ethnic groups are represented within that neighborhood. And you can also see the families living there learning how to get along with one another. They're collaborating with each other, and they're also developing these lifelong, meaningful relationships. That's my ultimate goal in life. So that's all I have for you. Thank you for your time. Have a great evening.